All right, welcome back. This is Module 2, Lesson 2 for 8th grade, Explore Dilations. Let's first look at the I can statement. I can identify and perform dilations given a scale factor and center of dilation, and perform a dilation on a coordinate plane, and identify an algebraic rule for the dilation. So that's a lot. Don't worry about it. We're going to just kind of go through it step by step as the lesson progresses. So I know it's a lot right now. Don't worry too much about it. So let's look at the Spark Your Learning. I think you should always try this because it's just an intro and it kind of gets your brain thinking that way. It says, on a computer, Raquel uses polygons and a circle to make a model of the top of London's Big Ben clock tower. Then she reduces it. So here's her pre-image, and then she reduces it to make this image. Compare Raquel's image and reduction. So compare this to what she ended up with. So you're just looking at what's the difference, what do you notice? So pause the video, compare those two, and then we'll go on to the build understanding. So now in the build understanding, it says rectangle R prime, S prime, T prime, U prime, this big green one here, is a dilation of rectangle RSTU. And if we look over here, there's a vocabulary word. A dilation is a transformation that produces an image that is proportional to its pre-image. So you should be kind of thinking back to the lesson previous to this one, lesson 1, where you did reductions and enlargements. And so you can see that those were just called reductions and enlargements, but those are dilations. So you'll kind of notice that more as we go along too. So let's look at A, measure the sides of the figures. So they want you to measure the sides of both and fill in the table. What is the relationship between the measurements of the two rectangles? So you'll answer that question here. Then they want to know what is the scale factor of this dilation. So let's look over here to the vocabulary. The scale factor of a dilation is the ratio of the side lengths of the image to the pre-image. So that's important. Let's look at what that means. So they're telling you the scale factor of a dilation is the ratio of the side length of the image to the pre-image. So that's how you'll determine whether or not the dilation is an enlargement or a reduction. If the scale factor is between 0 and 1, that means it's less than 1. That'll mean that you're going to have a reduction. If the scale factor is greater than 1, it means you'll have an enlargement. And so that'll make a big difference. That'll help you out when you're looking at when they tell you the scale factor. So then that's for this one. What is the scale factor? So you'll use this ratio. And then the point of intersection of lines through each pair of corresponding vertices in a dilation is called the center of dilation. So you're going to use that here in C. Points R and R prime are an example of corresponding vertices. Use a ruler or straight edge to draw 4 rays, each extending from a vertex of the image to the corresponding vertex of the pre-image. So for example, here's R prime. You're going to go from here, you're going to draw a line or ray, and it would extend out. And then U prime to U, you would actually use a straight edge because I'm not going perfectly straight. But that's what you'll do for each of these points on the image. You'll find the corresponding vertex on the pre-image and draw a line. So let's keep going and continuing through the left. What do you notice? So once you get those lines drawn and you have them all extended out, you'll notice something over in this area, and that's what they want you to do. notice or write down there for C. And then it says D, label the center of dilation for rectangles RSTU and R prime S prime T prime U prime at point P. So that'll be where you label. Wherever all those lines intersect over here somewhere, that'll be your center of dilation. So pause the video, go ahead and do that, and then we'll go on to the next pages. So here we are at number 2. This is the step it out portion. So for these A through G, really take your time and just follow the directions step by step. It says in order to dilate triangle DEF to form D prime, E prime, F prime with a scale factor of 2 and a center of dilation 0, 0, which is the origin, first draw a ray from the center of dilation through vertex D. So you're going to start here at the center of dilation and draw a line using a straight edge through D. And then find a point on the ray that is twice the distance from the center of dilation as vertex D and label it D prime. So think about what that means, because they're telling you the scale factor is 2. So they want you to find a point on this ray that you've drawn that is twice the distance from the center of dilation, which is here, to vertex D. So somewhere, what's twice this distance? And because your ray extends, you'll be able to find a point there on that ray. Then give the ordered pair for vertices D and D prime. How are these values related to the scale factor? So again, take your time, really think about it, and you'll be able to answer that question. Then they want you to predict the ordered pairs for vertices E prime, F prime. So again, it'll probably help you to draw some rays and first predict and explain your reasoning. Then go to E and draw the triangle D prime, E prime, F prime on the graph. Use the rays from the center of dilation to draw your dilation. Then F, using the ordered pairs again from D, E, F, how would you make a dilation D prime prime, E prime prime, F prime prime with a scale factor of 1/3 and a center 0, 0? So your origin is still your center. This time your scale factor is 1/3 instead of 2. So first think, is it going to be smaller or is it going to be larger? Then draw that triangle D prime prime, E prime prime, F prime prime on the graph. Use rays from the center of dilation to check your dilation. What are the coordinates of the vertices of D prime, E prime, D prime prime, E prime prime, F prime prime? So now let's go pause the video, work on those problems, then we'll go up to number 3. So now let's look at number 3. G prime, H prime, J prime is a dilation of GHJ. So this is the pre-image, this is the image. Find the scale factor and center of dilation. Represent the dilation algebraically. So that's what you're going to do in A through E. So the first step is to complete the table. That'll really help you to see what the dilation is. Once you've completed the table, they ask, how are the corresponding coordinates for the image and pre-image related? You can kind of see how they might be related here, but once you fill in the table, you'll kind of recognize a pattern. So that'll make it easier to know how they're related. And then they ask, what's the scale factor? This will tell you once you know how they're related. And then once you figure out that scale factor, you'll be able to do D and find that algebraic representation. And then E, they want you to draw rays through the corresponding vertices of both figures to find the center of dilation. Again, you'll be drawing, you can extend them both ways if you'd like, if that helps, and you'll find what's the center of dilation. Once you feel comfortable, you can go on and do the check understanding. That's on your own. Once you've completed the check understanding and you feel comfortable with it, you can go ahead and do the on your own section, these next 2 pages on your own. because this was a lot, there was a lot covered in this lesson, you might want to try this homework page, exploring dilations, a little bit more. Go back and look at the I can statement and think about, can I do all those things that they talked about? If not, maybe try this homework, or you could do the reteach, whatever helps you feel like that you're really confident with this. Then do the test prep and spiral review, and then you're done. So go ahead and work on those things, and we'll see you in the next lesson.